Nath Kovind will be sworn in as the new President of India next week. Mr. Kovind, as expected, was elected by a good margin today of more than 65% of the votes. Meera Kumar there getting about 34% of the votes, which many believe was actually not as bad as was initially expected. But overall, there has been cross-voting in many states. We can tell you that, for instance, in Gujarat, at least 16 MLAs of the Congress have cross-voted, and that is a big blow to the Congress party. There are assembly elections that are taking place in Gujarat later this year. You have other states like Maharashtra, where 10 MLAs have cross-voted as well in favor of Mr. Kovind. Although Sachin Pilot in Rajasthan has tweeted that as far as Rajasthan is concerned, the opposite has happened, where there has been cross-voting in favor of Meera Kumar instead. So by and large, that cross-voting appears to have helped Mr. Kovind, but some of it Meera Kumar as well. Let's take a look at some of the key reactions to that big win.
व्यक्तिगत रूप से मेरे लिए ये बहुत ही भावुक क्षण है। आज दिल्ली में सुबह से बारिश हो रही है। बारिश का ये मौसम मुझे बचपन के उन दिनों की याद दिलाता है जब मैं अपने पैतृक गांव में रहा करता था। आज देश में ऐसे कितने ही रामनाथ कोविंद होंगे जो इस समय बारिश में भीग रहे होंगे, कहीं खेती कर रहे होंगे, कहीं मजदूरी कर रहे होंगे, शाम को भोजन मिल जाए इसके लिए पसीना बहा रहे होंगे। आज मुझे उनसे कहना है कि परौंख गांव का रामनाथ कोविंद राष्ट्रपति भवन में उन्हीं का प्रतिनिधि बनकर जा रहा है।
Ramnath Kovind's emotional acceptance speech shortly after the results were announced. Backed by the ruling NDA and several other parties including Nitish Kumar's JDU, he won 65.6% of the votes. Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah visited Mr. Kovind and felicitated him. Just minutes after the result, Mr. Modi tweeted a picture of himself at Kovind's son's wedding 20 years ago and a recent picture of him with Kovind's family. Mr. Modi also tweeted a message for the opposition candidate Meera Kumar.
भारत के राष्ट्रपति चुने जाने पर मैं उन्हें अपनी शुभकामना देती हूं कि इस कठिन समय में उनके ऊपर संविधान की रक्षा का दायित्व आया है.
And among the first chief ministers to congratulate the president-elect was from his home state.
यह उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए और भी गौरव का क्षण है कि पहली बार देश के सर्वोच्च संवैधानिक पद पर उत्तर प्रदेश का सपूत विराजमान होगा.
Central ministers were quick to point out it's the BJP that got a Dalit candidate elected.
बहुत बड़ा राजनीतिक महत्व है. एक गरीब घर का बेटा, एक दलित परिवार का बेटा देश के सर्वोच्च सत्ता के ऊपर में जा रहा है.
दलित समाज के एक कैंडिडेट को बहुत उच्च पद पर न्याय देने का काम जो है, ये काम यहाँ बीजेपी ने किया है और रामनाथ कोविंद जी भारी वोटों से चुनकर आए हैं.
Ramnath Kovind's election as president was a foregone conclusion, but the new revelation is how much cross-voting in 6 states contributed to his election. What has left the Congress High Command red-faced is the Shankar Singh Waghela faction in Gujarat. Out of 57 Congress MLAs, 41 voted for Meera Kumar. In Goa, at least 2 Congress MLAs cross-voted. And in Assam, at least 3 Congress MLAs have voted for Kovind. The Congress, however, has a different interpretation.
Overall, if you see, for us, the larger story is that while BJP thought they'd give close to 70% of the vote share, they've got only 65.
Cross-voting or not, the stage is set for India's 14th president, Ramnath Kovind, and what he will focus during his presidency. With camera person Stephen, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Well, Mr. Kovind will be the second Dalit president of India, and it's been a day full of celebrations at his ancestral village in Uttar Pradesh. There were dhols, there were dances, and even a DJ was called in.
The many hues of a day-long celebration in Uttar Pradesh's Kanpur Dehat district. In Mr. Kovind's native village Parong, where this two-room community centre now stands in place of the hut where Mr. Kovind's parents lived. This song was on loop all day.
हर सुविधाएं हो जाएंगी गांव की हर सुविधाएं स्कूल कॉलेज इंडस्ट्रीज और रोडवेज स्टेशन और हमारा ये जिला जो है जिला ये नाम कभी कोई ये जानता नहीं था पहले लेकिन उनकी वजह से ये सोने की तरह चमके सूर्य की तरह चमकेगा
20 kilometers away from Parong in the Jinjak town, joy and celebrations in the middle-class Om Nagar locality, where all 5 Kovind brothers have homes. It was a special day for 76-year-old Pyarelal Kovind, the president's elder brother, who has run a small cloth shop for 4 decades and used to ply a cart before that.
देश के हित की बात करें सबका किसी जात में से पार्टी में से नहीं होना चाहिए.
Everyone in the area now says they are waiting for the president to visit home soonest.
गलियां राष्ट्रपति हाँ जिंजा की गलियां राष्ट्रपति और हर बच्चा राष्ट्रपति.
Well, lots to talk about tonight. This is a presidential election that many knew was a foregone conclusion when Mr. Kovind's candidature was announced. Even when Meera Kumar's name was announced, everyone knew this wasn't a contest. But it has huge political ramifications, and certainly the way this cross-voting has happened today in the immediate term is going to be the first big test. We have with us here Sushmita Dev, Lok Sabha MP of the Congress Party, in the studio with us. Senior leader of the BJP, Mr. Chandan Mitra, joins us tonight. Mr. Naresh Gujral, Member of Parliament of the Akali Dal. Mr. Pawan Verma, Senior leader of the JDU. Also with us are commentators this evening, Shubhrashtra of the India Foundation and Aarti Jairath, senior journalist. And let me begin my question to Sushmita Dev first. Sushmita, I'm sure it's a big concern to the Congress today, and particularly in Gujarat, that it appears that at least 16 MLAs of the party there have cross-voted.
Well, it's a mixed feeling because in Gujarat, it seems that we've made some losses there, but there are several states in which we've gained. And I'll say that net, Meera Kumarji as a candidate has done far better historically than what other runners-up candidates in the past have done in terms of the number of votes she's got. So we can't say that we are totally unhappy. I mean, we're elated with what happened in Rajasthan, Meghalaya, etc. We got the votes which we didn't expect and more than what we expected. But yes, some analysis is required about what has happened in Gujarat, and I think a lot of things remain to unfold. It's a secret ballot, so one can't identify who's gone in which direction. And we have seen in the past that in a presidential election, this happens. It happened during Pranab Mukherjee's election. 19 BJP MLAs in the Karnataka had defected. So it's not a new phenomena. But as a party, yes, we have to count our blessings where we've gained, and we have to seriously look into states where we have lost.
I think that's a fair analysis. And Mr. Chandan Mitra, let me just get your initial analysis as well on this, both as a politician and as an editor. How do you look at this? Sushmita has a point that actually Meera Kumar's margin, as far as an opposition candidate is concerned, is actually better than how opposition candidates have done in the past. But having said that, this cross-voting, how do you see that and what it tells you about the state of the opposition?
Well, it was clear from the beginning that although the opposition put up a joint candidate, that there was no real unity. I don't think that there was any momentum in the opposition campaign, and it was a kind of, I would say, insistence of the Congress to put up a candidate when they knew that really they had no hope of defeating Mr. Kovind. Many opposition leaders, I've heard them say, privately at least, that look, unnecessarily, why are they putting up Mrs. Meera Kumar, who is a distinguished person, diplomat, a former speaker of the Lok Sabha, and it won't behove her to kind of lose badly, which she has. Whatever the spin Mrs. Sushmita Dev tries to put on this, that is better than we expected. But the fact is that she was due to lose and she lost, and lost by a wide margin. So I think it is actually unfortunate that the opposition put up a candidate for whom they could not even get all opposition MLAs and MPs to vote in her favor. So it's unfortunate, but now the election is over with politics. Mr. Ramnath Kovind is the President of India, he is everybody's President, and I'm sure he will discharge his duties with that sense of responsibility.
I'm going to come to that in more detail in just a moment, because Sonia Gandhi had a very interesting congratulatory message for Mr. Kovind, which I'll talk about. But Mr. Pawan Verma, to you, the question is that many believe the opposition unity got its first hit when the JDU decided to back Mr. Kovind instead of the opposition's candidate. Does this election, according to you, actually indicate the way political alignments are going to form in the run-up to the next general election?
I don't believe so. I think Mr. Nitish Kumar made it clear that contingent issues like who you back for the President of India are not necessarily the foundation for building opposition unity. He believes that he voted for Mr. Kovind on his interaction with him and in his belief in his qualities to protect, preserve the Constitution, because we had the occasion to interact with him directly when he was Governor of Bihar for 2 years. And in that capacity, we found Mr. Kovind to be impartial, to be constitutionally correct, to be above party affiliations, and on that basis, the support was extended. He had done the same, I would like to say, when he was a member of the NDA and broke ranks to support Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. So it is one thing about which party supports which candidate for a president. In our case, we did it on individual merits and not on any ideological grounds at a time when the opposition had not yet put up a candidate. The project of opposition unity is a much wider, much deeper, far more serious exercise, which I am sure opposition parties will come together. Mr. Nitish Kumar has himself said that the unity of the opposition is the crying need of the hour. But that project is a separate matter and needs that level of investment of energy and effort, which I hope will follow quickly rather than later.
Well, Mr. Naresh Gujral, what is your take, sir, as a senior politician yourself, on what the political implications of this presidential race actually have been? Do you agree with Mr. Pawan Verma that opposition unity is a separate matter that will come up at a later point, or that this is in fact an indicator of things to come? I mean, for instance, the fact that you have so many Congress MLAs in Gujarat cross-voting could indicate that the Congress there is about to sort of self-combust. That has repercussions for the party and national repercussions as well.
Well, I see two messages here. One, that the so-called Mahagathbandhan is a non-starter. As it is, you have seen Mr. Nitish Kumar come this way. Many other parties have this dilemma. NCP is trying to come closer to NDA. And even Mr. Naveen Patnaik, in this case, did not go with the UPA. So when you look ahead and talk of 19, one thing is very clear, that all this big talk of a grand alliance is not going to work out because there are too many contradictions within them. Second, there is a huge disconnect of the Congress leadership with the Congress party. I have met, and I do meet almost on a daily basis, a number of congressmen in Parliament, and they are disillusioned with the leadership of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And so are the other opposition parties. So there is a big dilemma there, that who would be their leader if they were to come out with a front. And more people as a result are coming towards the NDA.
I think those are two important messages you pointed out. And before I get Sushmita to respond to those points, I just want to ask Subhrashtra and Aarti then about the impact of Mr. Kovind as president and politically what that means. Aarti, today we have a great piece on our website where the author has said and pointed this out, that for the first time in Indian history, you have the president, the vice president and the prime minister all belonging to the Dalit and OBC communities. So very successfully that Mandal politics has now been internalized. It's now front and center. That itself could, you think, have an impact on the BJP's political fortunes in the ahead of the next elections?
Well, so I think the BJP is trying to reinvent itself. It was always known as a Brahmin Baniya party and represented upper caste interests. And I think that under Modi and under Amit Shah, the BJP is trying to reinvent itself to be far more far more inclusive, you know, get in more and more groups. But unfortunately, if you look at what's happening in UP, where, you know, they went all out to consolidate the OBC vote and succeeded dramatically with that stunning victory that they got, 325 seats. If you look at the appointments that have been made subsequently to that victory, they're mostly Thakurs and Brahmins. And actually the OBCs have not been given the kind of space in the power sharing arrangement as would have been expected, the way the BJP, you know, went out and wooed the OBC communities. So, yes, it is interesting that today you have the top 3 posts in the country all occupied by, you know, members of the so-called deprived communities. But whether this is going to actually impact the BJP's politics as such or the BJP's thinking as such, I think we have to wait and see, because the UP experiment certainly shows that it has made
so,
very little
Shubhashta, is it, as Aarti seems to be suggesting, tokenism? Is that what the election, in a sense, unfortunately got narrowed down to, where you had Mr. Kovind, of course, who has his own credentials, but caste was a very important factor, and Meera Kumar, let's face it, her credentials are great too, but caste was the key factor as well.
I think in terms of what impact will this have on BJP's politics, I think time would tell, because as you rightly said, for the first time the 3 sort of icons in Indian politics come from the deprived communities. So I think we'll have to wait and watch as to what, at the policy level, what is it that the BJP does with this kind of mandate. With respect to the question on tokenism, I think I said it again and I would repeat that when you project a Dalit candidate and there is a similar Dalit candidate opposite, then there's that whole question gets nullified. It then becomes a question of who is a better Dalit than the other. And I think that was a very unfortunate thing, unfortunate way in which the entire debate went on in the country, courtesy the opposition. But having said that, I definitely think that that lot needs to be done, and it will be a very interesting time for the country ahead to see the kind of policy questions that are addressed after this.
So Shmita, shouldn't it worry the Congress though that you know, politics is about perception, and here you have the BJP that has really successfully turned politics on its head, as Aarti said. It's completely reinvented itself. You do have, you know, these top 3 posts occupied by people from the deprived communities. Isn't that something that should force the Congress then to change its narrative?
Well, I'd like to first address what Mr. Gujral said and Mr. Chandan Mitra said. Both are of the opinion that because of the way the presidential election has unfolded, they're questioning our leadership, they're questioning the Mahagathbandhan. So I hope that as the vice president's election comes up, and when you see Naveen Patnaik ji standing by Gopal Gandhi, Mr. Gandhi, and then when you see that you will have Nitish Kumar ji standing by our vice presidential candidate, what will be your arguments then? Since you're making so many, drawing so many conclusions, right from Rahul Gandhi ji's capability to the capability of the Gathbandhan, I hope that you will not, you will be able to you will apply the same logic when it comes to the vice president's election. Because please don't, you know, change your stand again and again. So I hope that we'll be back on this debate when the vice presidential election starts.
Well, you're welcome to come. But what about my question on the BJP reinventing
See,
politics?
I agree with her that if we view this presidential fight in a manner that is a Dalit versus a Dalit, and who is a better Dalit, I think that will be, that's very unfortunate. But what I'd like to see it as a Congress person, is that this in this contest, what was debated and what the nation was forced to debate, not necessarily on television, but in any other public domain, is what is the real idea of India? That's what Meera Kumar ji propagated throughout, and I hope that we'll all look back at this election about that and not about a Dalit versus Dalit question.